Effectively, if a government says to you, if any government says, listen, what we're going to do is lock the banks so you can't buy Bitcoin and we're going to stop the on-ramps, they are screaming at you with a loudspeaker to buy Bitcoin as fast as you can.
Jeff Booth is a general partner at Ego Death Capital. He's also the author of The Price of Tomorrow, Why Deflation is the Key to an Abundant Future. Jeff explains why the government debt around the world is insolvent, and it's only through manipulation of the money supply that allows us to pretend that everything's okay.
The first thing people need to realize, and when they're listening to this for the first time, this is going to be hard to digest, or it might be hard to digest. And that's because you're measuring a system problem from the system creating the problem. And all of the politics on top, no matter what side, is just theater on top of a system problem. And here's a system problem. Globally, there's about $400 trillion of debt. If you tried to pay back that debt at $1 a second, if you tried to pay back $1 trillion at $1 a second, it would take you approximately 32,000 years to pay back debt at $1 a second. So the debt is already insolvent, but we pretend it's solvent because we allow governments to manipulate money to pay back the debt in cheaper dollars tomorrow. And that manipulation of money carries a whole huge problem throughout society because it's just manipulation.
Jeff goes on to explain how all technology eventually reduces in price to the marginal cost of production, and how that means many items we use every day are being removed from GDP, and how AI is making this process happen faster than ever.
Economics is way easier than people think. Way easier. We've been believed that nobody can understand economics because of all of the complexity and the more and more complexity, and when we just tune out and we live in that world, okay, we have to trust those other people because they know what's happening. I'm going to simplify it really simple for your audience. Prices fall to the marginal cost of production. In Economics 101, everybody knows that. It's why your calculator app on your phone is free. It's why your photos on your phone are free. And what it means is entrepreneurs are creating value for society. And let's say your calculator used to be a physical product, and then it turned into a digital product. And as the calculator turned into a digital product, the first calculator app on the phone cost money. And then the next entrepreneur came in and said, I'm going to offer a better calculator app for cheaper. And then the next one, and another one for cheaper, and another one for cheaper. And that continues to fall until it's zero. And then the entrepreneurs, well, there's a penny of profit in it. There's entrepreneurs all over the world which will attack that profit until it goes to zero. And then it goes to zero, and those entrepreneurs move to a different industry. And that calculator is no longer in GDP. It's free, that productivity. So you can't measure it in GDP. The productivity went to free. We know, we can see it all around us, that we have exponentially increasing productivity. Artificial intelligence is coming, and if you think artificial intelligence is something today, if you wait a year or 2 or 3, artificial intelligence is going to merge with machines, and it's going to bring productivity gains that we can't even imagine right now, meaning that the prices will fall faster and faster and faster.
Bitcoin sits outside the system that currently measures GDP and the cost of production. Jeff explains how Bitcoin's fixed coin cap is repricing the entire monetary system as we know it.
So 1, prices fall to marginal cost of production. 2, that marginal cost of production is falling exponentially all around the world. And 3, the only thing that could measure that is a system without manipulation, where the denominator can't move. So what's happening with Bitcoin's 21 million cap, that's outside of the existing counterparty system, outside of the $400 trillion of debt that is unrepayable already, is it's repricing that entire debt stack, whether it's through inflation or deflation. And it's just moving, and it's measuring all prices relative to Bitcoin coming down forever. It's measuring economic law.
There is a phenomenon around the globe whereby people who are adversely affected by a system look to other people within the system to save them. Jeff explains how this manifests in countries like Venezuela and Argentina with greater than 100% inflation, and how the people there are still looking to their leaders within the current system to save them.
If you look around the world, we think about the inflation rate in the US right now because it's higher than it's been for a long time. And inflation is just really theft. I've manipulated money There's no vote for it. I've manipulated money to be able to steal money from people, and we consider that okay. And so that's happening at a greater and greater rate. And in the US, it's starting to become political. Mm-hmm. But if you look at other nations around the world, in Argentina right now, I think there's 114% inflation rate. Venezuela, 100% inflation rate. And what you'd ask is, why don't those people just move over to Bitcoin? Why aren't there 100% Bitcoiners in Argentina and Venezuela? Why do 95% stay in the system? And it's why important, if you're thinking it's going to change, all of a sudden the world's just going to be a light switch that changes. It's not. It's going to happen over a long time horizon. What happens is most people in that system, well, it's getting worse and worse, think there's somebody that can save them from that system, a new political leader or something else, and they vote for more of it, or they march on the streets and they rip down buildings and they break windows, and then they go home and all those windows are magically fixed by more printing of money. So most people stay in the system while it's burning, and they think it's safe. They give it more strength instead of just walking across. And by the way, that matters a lot, because if they do it all over the world, then most of your listeners will probably do the same thing.
With the global fiat system 40 times larger than cryptocurrency, Jeff explains how Bitcoin, despite its smaller size, is stronger and more resilient to attack than ever before.
You have a monetary system that is 10,000 times bigger than Bitcoin today, and that relies on theft. And that theft, if you just looked at a mere reflection of the world, if you had theft in essentially, if the emergent complex behavior of society was built on theft, then who would win and who would lose? Probably the biggest cheaters would win, and the best people at deceiving you would win, and the people that were speaking truth would lose. But that system is so prevalent in everything we do when we're measuring the system from that system, and we keep electing those same people to do it more and more and more, thinking that there's a solve from the system. And so you'd have to expect that Bitcoin would have to withstand everything. If a system was that much more powerful, would try everything in its power to break Bitcoin. And every year, Bitcoin gets more decentralized and secure. And more, every single year, more decentralized and secure as it spreads out around the world, as more people move over to it. And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It is literally impossible to break. This is the system based on truth, and I'm going to just shift all of my time into building to the emergent system that's based on truth. And as I spent more of my time there, you see there's Bitcoiners everywhere in the world, and within organizations that you would think there's no Bitcoiners, they're the most brilliant people inside these organizations. Some of them don't say it publicly because they can't say it publicly, but this is growing at a rate it's literally unstoppable.
Jeff's not alone in believing the world needs a base currency that isn't open to manipulation. He explains how the true value of Bitcoin is the number of people using it, not its monetary value as measured against a corrupt, insolvent, debt-based system.
The world needs a global neutral currency. We've never seen something that could act as a global neutral currency, because they always have manipulation. There's so much power in controlling money. Then human nature throughout time has always manipulated money. And that's why gold keeps on getting manipulated. It gets centralized and then it gets manipulated. We go to war to resolve that, and it goes back and forth. And so we've never had a neutral reserve money globally. And that's what Bitcoin offers. It's a neutral reserve, it's a neutral money, it's a neutral bearer instrument, but it's in a technology that on layer 2, you have unlimited velocity in money. Who's favored by a technological change? The people furthest away from the monopoly. Mm-hmm. So people like in El Salvador, people in Africa, you should see the rate of growth of Lightning and Bitcoin in some of these regions, because now you don't have to go through Visa. You don't have to go through banking where they don't have stable money. And they can trade on Lightning Network, that is a second layer on Bitcoin, with a fraction of a penny of a fee, and they can move money instantly anywhere in the world. These areas are exploding. So you have a network effect building on Bitcoin, And you have a further network effect building as people peer-to-peer trade value all over the world on top of it, which is Lightning, which is they're growing faster and faster. And people are measuring price when they should be measuring how many people are using it and getting value. What I see with many of my friends and in this, and that's why I'm so hopeful, is they're already living in that future. It's not widely distributed yet, but you could live in that future right now. You don't have to wait.
For anyone paying attention, the future of Bitcoin is gaining momentum around the world as a non-manipulated store of value, and through faster Layer 2 protocols like the Lightning Network, it will become adopted for transactions more and more. If you enjoyed the content, please give this video a like, as it helps me get the videos out to more people on YouTube. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload new content to help keep you informed about the financial markets and the world of Bitcoin and crypto. This is in no way financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. You need to do a lot of research and talk to a professional about your particular financial situation and what investments might be right for you. Until next time, happy investing.